What a weekend of football it was in the NFL. There were a lot of highlights, a lot of lowlights, but the NFC and AFC championship is set. The Chiefs take on the Bills in Arrowhead, and the Eagles are at home in Philadelphia to take on the Washington Commanders. Spencer, what do you think of that AFC championship game between the Bills and the Chiefs?
We have an incredible weekend of football on tap, and this AFC championship is going to be a clash. We have the 2-seed Buffalo Bills traveling to Arrowhead to take on Patrick Mahomes and the 1-seed Chiefs. I think one of the keys for Buffalo and their defense to this game is can the defense force Mahomes into a few turnovers. We've seen Mahomes be a little bit more vulnerable this year than in prior years, but I still think Patrick Mahomes is going to have an absolutely huge game, MVP performance. One of the X factors for me with Buffalo's defense is linebacker Matt Milano. He's been great the past few years, but the last few weeks since ramping up from the injury, he's kind of been a shell of his former self. And I think in order for Buffalo to defend the run, and especially to contain Patrick Mahomes, they're going to need a lot out of linebacker Matt Milano. So my confidence level for Buffalo's defense, right now it's at like a 4 out of 10. What about you?
Well, I think this is Buffalo's best opportunity, than any previous iteration of their team to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Granted, though, the experience of the Chiefs matters. Kansas City knows how to win close games. Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, they are proven winners, 3 rings already, chasing number 4. The question is, can Buffalo beat this team in the playoffs 0-3 all time versus the Chiefs?
0-3 all time, and I think that's going to become...
Well, in the Allen era, at least.
Yeah. In this era, I think it's going to become 0-4 this weekend. Buffalo's offense should be stellar, but I think at the end of the day, the Chiefs, after their regular season loss, only their 2 losses was in Buffalo, and I think while this game's in Kansas City, it still has major revenge implications for Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, and I think with Kareem Hunt, the hot hand at running back, as long as DeAndre Hopkins involved in the offensive line can hold up against Buffalo's pass rush, I think Kansas City will win, and I am taking them to advance to their 3rd straight Super Bowl and 5th in the last 6 years, as a matter of fact. Give me KC in a thriller in overtime, 37-31. What do you got?
I've got KC in a close game as well, but there's a small part of me that is thinking, is this following the same trend of the Brady versus Manning rivalry about 2 decades ago? Remember that Brady and the Patriots came out with three rings before Manning and the Colts finally got a ring of their own. Is this Allen's turn to finally get a ring?
I want to say yes, but at the same time, my gut can't bet against the one and only Patrick Mahomes, and I also think KC definitely has a coaching advantage. I like Joe Brady, I like Sean McDermott, but at the end of the day, Spags and Andy Reid, I think are going to create a mismatch, and I think in an overtime thriller, KC's going to take it. So with that being said, let's move on to the NFC side of things. We have the Washington Commanders, the 6th seed, and the Philadelphia Eagles, the 2 seed. What do you have in this one?
Well, what a dream season this has been for Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders. Who would have thought a team that was projected to win 5 games coming into this season finds itself in the NFC Championship game off of beating the Super Bowl favorites in Detroit? Who had that on their bingo card, especially coming into this year? They split the season series with each other 1-on-1. Granted, in that second matchup, Jalen Hurts got hurt in the first quarter, and it was more of a Kenny Pickett-led Eagles team. The question is, can the Commanders stop Saquon Barkley? My bet is going to be no in Philadelphia. Give me Philadelphia to win by at least 2 scores.
Interesting. I think the Commanders are a team of destiny, and I know that's a cliche phrase, but I truly believe that Dan Quinn, Cliff Kingsbury, and Jaden Daniels will take this team to the big game. And a few reasons for that are, simply put, I've liked Jalen Hurts in the past, but he really hasn't been himself the past few games, especially coming back from that injury. And I think as long as Washington's defense can wreak havoc on Hurts and get at least a little pressure on that stout Philadelphia O-line, I think it'll be a long day for that Philly offense. And speaking from a Commander's point of view, as long as Jaden Daniels can push the ball downfield as he's done all season, I really don't think there's a way. Although the Philadelphia secondary has been excellent this year, I don't think it'll be enough to contain Daniels.
You know what? We'll have to see. I definitely agree with you. Jalen Hurts is going to have to get more out of A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. They're going to have to get more out of the passing game. But you know what? I was in Philadelphia for that LA Rams game. Snowball in Philly. Weather played a factor. I know that Washington can play in cold weather, but you know what? Give me that Philly home field advantage to lead them to victory. We're going to toss it to Ronnie and Ethan up next with the NFL MVP race.